And we're live. Welcome to the OUYACast, episode 16, recorded on Saturday, May 31st, 2014, your weekly source for the latest news, games, and hacks for OUYAns everywhere. I'm Brandon from OuyaCentralTV.
And I'm Steve from OuyaBrew.com. Thank you guys for joining us for this very super special OUYAcast with our guests, Mr. Bob Mills, Mr. Jared Yeager from Ouya. Hey guys.
Hey.
Hey.
Great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We've been looking forward to this for quite a while.
I have my official background imagery here to signify the official.
that you're officially Bob.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You're not an imposter.
Although I gotta say, Jared's background is pretty awesome. Also, there, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is our baby's room. Basically, a decal wall setup right now. And then she's got like some flowers and stuff over here, and she has a pinball machine. But
God.
yeah. When we got the house, it came with this blue room, and honestly, we were just too damn lazy to repaint the thing. So we figured what would work with it. It's like, oh, put up some Mario stickers on it. And then after having a baby, it's like, yeah, we'll keep it up there. She can dig Mario, so why not?
That's totally awesome. You know, being as this is our first ever actual video OUYAcast, it's awesome to be able to see this kind of stuff because usually we're just talking, you know, we don't ever see anything. Matter of fact, now that you mentioned it, I got my arcade machine running in the background up there. It's kind of hard to see, but I was playing some Miss Pac-Man earlier.
Nice. Is it like is it ROM based or is it actual?
It's a MAME machine.
Sweet.
Absolutely, it's pretty nice. I mean, it only took like maybe 2-3 weeks to make, total. So it was pretty sweet to get it done. But now when we have house parties, it's like the best thing ever. So.
Oh, absolutely. Is that like how many players are on that stand? I think I see a joystick on that.
It's 2. Yep, it's got a dual stick on it.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, it's nice till people start getting crazy and batting it around. You know, it's like, hey man, it's not a official machine. Stop beating it up. But
yeah.
Hey, it's all right. Yeah, it's a X arcade stick, Bob.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, guys, we got so much to talk about. You guys have been incredibly busy at Ouya this week. Am I right?
This has been a pretty insane week. We have other news that we were going to still post this week, but honestly, I think we flooded the Twitter and Facebook verse with releases, awesome videos from Bob and Alex. We end of May and then going to June, it's going to be a couple of crazy months. We have a lot of new releases and announcements to make, and then E3 coming around the corner, and other events after that. So yeah, it's been in fuego right now.
That's awesome. Well, I know one of the big things that you guys have probably been hearing is the 800 game milestone. What about that?
I mean, we were super happy about that. Actually, I think it came. I don't know, Bob. Maybe you thought differently. I thought it came even quicker. Like I knew before E3 we were going to hit it, and then I think I don't know. It just seemed like devs took off for the races, and we just flew by it.
Yeah, it was definitely a pleasant surprise, I would say. I wasn't prepared when it happened. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, it kind of snuck up on us, and then I think we put on Twitter Whispering Willows was 800, and I think it was like a battle between whether or not it was actually Pharaoh Rogue or I honestly don't. I'm not 100% sure now, actually, which one was the 800th game.
I was going to ask you because
I think it might have been. I'm happy calling it a toss-up tie. Just in case there was any leftover controversy.
Well, we got told by the Pharaoh Rogue devs that it was them, so I'm just going to put out what I heard.
That works for me. Those guys are cool. They came by our office. They just came by and showed us the game actually a couple months ago. And so it's cool to when some devs are nearby the office, they just come in and show us what they're working on.
That's awesome.
So it's definitely a game that they're gonna plan to iterate as they put it out there. So it's cool to just watch them grow.
You had the read-only memories team come by too, right?
Yeah, lots of people come by.
Yeah.
Well, that Fair Rogue, it looks like an amazing game. I know they're right in the middle of their Kickstarter right now. I personally have backed it because I think it's just incredible. It reminds me so much of Unreal Tournament, and I hope it gets funded for everything that they want it to be funded for. The demo's great. All the level designs are terrific. I mean, it's just a great game. So I'm really excited about that, and I hope that everything goes through for them.
Yeah, I think I put some money behind it on Wednesday. Yeah.
Nice. For the uninitiated, it's a first-person arena deathmatch. Is that pretty close? Would you guys say? Kind of game, and they put in a neat thing where if you run to the middle of the floor, you can like trigger a trap that'll like shoot guns everywhere. So then it ends up being this like madcap, everyone rushing to the center of the room. Little mechanic. I don't know if they intended it for it to be like that or not, but it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet. It's kind of like that opening scene of what was it, the Hunger Games, where they have like all the weapons in the middle. Everybody's running to it. Heck yeah. So what do you guys think?
Yep. Totally. And it's.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. I think we're on a delay, so there's like even extra long, awkward pauses. But I was just emphatically agreeing with you.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys think attributes to this 800 game milestone? And as we're going forward into this year's E3 and the Ouya 2, which we're going to grill you guys on in a little bit, just so you have time to prepare yourselves. What do you think about going into that 1,000 game mark, where that's going to be a huge milestone, of course.
Sorry, I think I was on a delay as well. Yeah, I think, I don't know, Bob, what do you think? I based off the way that things have been picking up as far as like new releases coming out, it could be, I don't know, I think it could be by end of July I could see us hitting the 1,000 mark possibly. I think, I don't know, maybe we've just been seeing a lot more devs signing up and new releases coming out. I will say there was like that, not for a little bit, I don't know if it was like February or March, there was like a chunk of like Flappy Bird clones that came out.
Yeah.
But as far as like I guess original games and other devs bringing their games over from other platforms, we've seen a nice resurgence of that lately, which has been fantastic. I don't know if I would attribute it to any one thing. I just think maybe people are seeing a lot more quality games continuing to come out, and there was quality games coming out before, but I just think it's just been more noticeable, or maybe just more out there, and people are seeing it as a platform to really be seen, or a free place to, I guess a free and open place to iterate your projects on, whether it's demos, alphas, betas, you name it. And yeah, I just think people are giving, maybe who didn't give Ouya a look early on, or maybe had issues with the platform before, they've been giving it a second look, second chance, if you will, and maybe that could be part of it, but maybe, Bob, you've got some other thoughts on that.
No, I agree. I think that I was just thinking about it during our pause, and I think we're going to actually hit 1,000 probably sooner than I could guess. And part of that is just because there's sort of there's a continual, it seems like, swell of developers who are submitting content, but we're also on our end consistently working towards making the developer experience easier. So I'm hoping that will also sort of lend itself to the entire dev experience, and and I guess thereby there'd be like a increase in the rate of games that are submitted. So we should actually do like a pool, Jared, in the office or something, of like when we're gonna hit the 1,000 mark. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, now you got me thinking maybe it might be like early July now. But I mean, I'd say that to give credit of Alex and Bob Tim Grotman and engineering, they've been busting their ass on a lot more updated documentation, specifically for the portal and some other tutorial stuff that's in the works that I think is already making things easier and more clear for developers how to bring something over faster and just with less questions along the process. So as more of that gets implemented, I think people are going to see Ouya as, and I think what we'd like to think of as like the easiest platform, the easiest way for you to bring a game or app to the living room environment, and that's kind of our goal. And whatever it is that you want to make, that really is on the dev relation side. At least for me, I think one of our top priorities, and we're getting there. It's not perfect yet, but with a lot of the hard work that Bob and Alex are doing, I think we will get there sooner than later.
Yeah, you guys came a long way from the beginning.
Yeah.
And what are some of the challenges when a developer tries to make a game for the Ouya?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think there are, like just the standard technical development questions, which like in one way we want to, tackle, which is like making the easiest to use and pick up gaming engines, supporting those more and more, and then other than that, we try to have a very like as frictionless as possible submission review portal and sort of just like ability to integrate. So to put your game on Ouya, what do you need, Jared? Like we check for controller implementation, and we check for a way for the, or if your game is for sale, we check to make sure that all the sale goes through right. There's no bugs in the purchase API. And then, that's about it. And we check for, like, if the game is playable and stuff like that.
I'd say the other
stuff.
So,
I guess that's sort of a rambling way of saying that.
I will say that as far as things that I've seen devs trip up on the most, and then it's once a dev has kind of figured it out, if they submit a second game, it never really happens. One is the controller input stuff, just making sure that's all correct. Like double tapping the home button brings up the way to exit the game, making sure that functions properly, checking for receipts so that there's no way to kind of like hack around, get your content for free, safe screen area so that people aren't having all the HUD stuff cut off on the sides of the screen. That's probably that's maybe, from at least what I've seen, one of the most common failures. It happens more to, it's funny, I don't think the majority of our games are mobile ports, but it definitely happens to mobile ports, I think, more than others. And actually, Tim Grotman has really good documentation, and I think just a simple way to, if you implement it early, you won't run into that issue. Some games work around it by having just an option at the beginning to kind of, I think Nightmare Tower does a really good job of setting up some sort of arrows in the corner of your screen to make everything fit right. That pops up a lot, so we definitely check for all of that so it's a proper TV experience, and depending if you're porting it from a different platform, whether it's PC or mobile, just so that like the interface actually works or makes sense. It isn't like a hack job of bringing in the controls, so it's that it feels right. And of course for stability, all that good stuff. But I'd say if there's two big things people fail or have to struggle the most with safe screen area, even though the link is pretty handy. And sometimes we just have to resend it to people, and then some of the main kind of controller functionality as far as the home button is concerned, and checking receipts.
Okay. Bob, you were talking about the development tools that you guys are supporting. Is there a better game development tool over another when making an Ouya game?
That's tough. I mean, part of it is like, a choice of like what you're experienced with already, and I'm not the best person in our company to be answering that, but so Unity is really well supported, partly because Tim Grotman's like a Unity wizard and he works internally with a lot of developers on Unity stuff, but also like Unity was a launch partner of ours early on. But we see a lot of mono games more and more, mono game engine, A lot of Game Maker games are on there. So if you're just starting out, perhaps Game Maker would be an easier one to explore. There's even easier ones out there, like like things like more student-oriented things like Scratch or something that we would like to one day integrate as well. We're marching towards making it so that they're all sort of equally supported and accessible. But for now, maybe Unity or maybe Game Maker is what I would probably play with first. Speaking for myself, because I have no programming experience, to be honest. So that's what I would go with.
I'm in the exact same boat as you,
from
Bob.
a total noob.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat as you. We're trying to
Cool.
figure out how to do this stuff, and because we want to submit to the dev community just like everybody else. And I've come up with so many ideas, and either I can't figure it out or somebody else has already made the game. So I'm like, well, that's just an excuse for me. But that's good advice, because I do know that Unity is one of the big players in the Ouya environment, and that has been what I've been working with. But like mono develop engine and all that, that's a new one for me. So I'll have to check that out for sure. But
and I would just encourage you to, like, if you have anything that you're even sort of working on, if you're not planning on just like if you're not planning on retiring with it, if your interest is more just like getting it out there and getting people playing it and getting feedback, like, I would say just publish it sooner and start getting people playing it and seeing at least what they think about it. I think some people even go as far as to look at tutorial builds of games, and then I'm not sure if they do for sure, but I know early on, I used to do Flash stuff, and you could look at tutorials of games and then replace sprites and alter things just a little bit to just see how they work. So that's a cool way to learn things.
Hey, if it gets you learning, that's all that matters. So let me ask you this, Bob. Obviously, aside from Amazing Frog, Bob and Jared, what are your two favorite Ouya games? I know favorites it's a harsh word because there's so many great ones. What are a couple of your favorites? Let's give you that one.
Bob, you can go first.
Well, I'll go first. Okay. There's been so many, and so the recent, I could name more recent ones. Recent games like Duck Game is amazing. If you guys have played Duck Game yet, or if you haven't played it yet, you definitely should. You just have to have some friends until he integrates a single player version of the game. But that game is incredible. Going back a little bit further, I'm taking huge leaps past other great content, right? But Clark is a great game if you like puzzle games. Or I really like Acorn Assault, which is actually a very chill game to play. But me and Alex will be punching each other because it's just ridiculous. It would just be I've never yelled so many harsh things at Alex unless I was playing Acorn Assault. So those are probably some of my favorites. I like a lot of them though.
That's awesome. What about you, Jared?
Yeah, I'd say well, Duck Game for sure as of late. That's a definite. Always loved Amazing Frog, especially with the latest updates. Going back though, before I joined Ouya back in July, definitely fell in love early on with Bomb Squad, which of course is kind of a more general favorite. For some reason, I committed myself because my wife wasn't as much into Bomb Squad, so I was playing through the cooperative mode by myself. So it was just some rage mode because the game is so tough to play through the single player stuff by yourself. You just get slaughtered over and over again. I kept coming back for more. But yeah, that was one of my favorites. I actually really liked Hero of Many. It kind of was a bit it's almost like playing through Flow with a story. If you got a chance to check that one out, I really like that. It's somewhat meditative adventure at the same time. I actually have had some really good games of Chess 2 against James, who's our platform lead. When you get a good online game going with that, with the new rules and pieces, with the various army types, that's a lot of fun. And then, I love Whispering Willows. The atmosphere is great. There's just like a ton that are fantastic. I also really love Meltdown. That game came out of nowhere. The only slight bummer with that in the short term is that the cooperative mode is only online, but they are working on a local co-op mode for that and more content. So I think Bob's doing an Ouya Presents video with that game coming up soon. And I can speak to a few of the other games that I've gotten to play lately that are coming out soon. Reagan Gorbachev is going to be a ton of fun from Team 2-Bit. Toto Temple from Juicy Beasts is going to be great. Magnetic by Nature, So Many Me. A lot of this stuff's already going to be shown at E3, which we can get to in a bit later. But what I'm really loving right now is actually all the stuff that we can't put out there yet. But love it all. I also know it's a bit pricey. Yeah, I know. I also it is a bit pricey at the moment because you're paying the Kickstarter rate, but the atmosphere and chills of Never-Ending Nightmares is fantastic. They are going to reach their beta soon, and so when they reach beta, the early entry price will drop a bit. So if you want to wait a little bit more for that, you can. If you want to jump into the alpha backer mode now to play it on the console, it's totally worth it.
Awesome.
I got really excited. Sorry. For some reason, I started back up Wrestling Revolution, which is awesome. Which then had me playing Hard Time, which is also awesome. I don't know if you guys have played that yet, but you should check it out because you will laugh and be entertained.
Yeah, we'll definitely try that out.
Cool.
I haven't played that yet. I just for the first time played Haymaker, I think it's called. That was interesting. That was an interesting one.
Oh yeah, so that cool kind of like retro, like I don't know, almost like 50, not 50 style art, but I guess it's kind of like that vintage presentation style. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I really like the way that Wrestling Revolution and Hard Time, it's the same guy. I just like the way that game is done because it's almost like these paper dolls, and it's just sort of like it's this feeling as if like you made the game you kind of wanted to make when you were a younger kid and you didn't really know about games, but you could draw a little bit, and it's like he drew out these characters and then cut them out, and they move as if they're those articulated paper dolls with like the bracket arms and stuff, and there's something really charming about those games. And he built his own engine, I think, actually.
Yeah, I think it's Mick Dickey, right? That's the developer. Yeah,
I don't know for sure, but I trust you.
I think that's what it on Twitter, but yeah, it's got almost a bit of like that South Park feel with the way that it is, like the paper doll cutout style.
I was just gonna say that.
I think for wrestling fans too, I would say that even when you like lose, it allows you to take over or hop between different players. So if you almost want to script out your wrestling match and kind of build out like the storyline in the ring, it's kind of crazy, like in a 10-man brawl that you can hop around and just kind of book it live for those who are fans of the wrestling scene.
It doesn't really help that me and Jared are like super secret like wrestling fanboys. We kind of
That's true.
All right, well, we'll spend a quick second on that. Who's your favorite? Just because I got to know now.
Well, for me,
mine's probably. Oh, okay.
No, go for it. Go. Take it, Bob.
I was gonna say, the Shockmaster. But I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Jared showed me the Shockmaster a while back, and it was awesome.
Nice.
I really liked Randy Orton back when he was a bad guy. If we're talking about like more current stuff.
Hey, whatever you like, man.
But yeah, I mean, I grew up with like WCW and Kevin Nash when he was doing NWO stuff. So I really liked it still.
I was I was always as a gosh, I think from like the early '90s, it was pretty much Undertaker all the way. I know that's kind of like an easy choice, but when I was growing up in Philadelphia, I went to like a live events there, and I think he wrestled Yokozuna, and it was awesome. It was totally worth it back in the day.
Nice. Personally, I was always a fan of Legion of Doom. They were like, the best. I don't know, it was something about the shoulder pads. I just couldn't get over it.
Yeah, they were fun to play. There was like a WWF arcade game back in the day, I think, where you could play as both of them with like the full armor and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I do have another quick question for you guys. So I know that Ouya recently just started the whole you don't have to have a demo in your game. I know that affected a lot of people in a lot of different ways. It affected the devs in a way that it's a positive thing for them because some of them just couldn't make it happen, and then it affected the user base in a way that was kind of like, hey, we were so used to this, the Ouya is built on this kind of platform. How's the response been from all that at the end of the day? Now that it's all kind of the dust is settled, how's the response really been from that whole change?
So you think the dust has settled, eh?
Well, for the most part, the initial wave.
I'll say a little bit. I'm sure Jared has thoughts too. It's always interesting because we've always sort of been a platform that was catering to very separate but very driven types of audiences, right? There was gamers and developers, and I think that we're sort of always at wanting to bring these worlds together, and that's the whole part of making development something that anyone can maybe try and experiment with, and so down the line. Not to go on a tangent, but maybe we can bring those audiences together so that they understand the reason why we did it. But going backwards, yes, you're right. It was something that we deliberated about for a long time, and we talked to a lot of developers, everyone from a couple of people making a game to a lot of the bigger name people that you'll see in the catalog, and some people that didn't even have games on the platform yet because they didn't have sort of the inclination or the artistic sort of way to put in a game. That's a difficult way of saying it. It's some games just you can't try them if you want to get them. Some games you just have to get. And I could name examples maybe, but maybe later. But so yeah, that's the challenge, and I'm sort of still feeling it actually, just personally, because we announced it at GDC, and it was a very developer-centric and it was a developer-centric announcement during a developer-centric sort of event, and so probably the word didn't really completely get out and sort of rest with everyone. So some people experience it for the first time still, and so that's probably why there might be some dust that needs to settle. But it was one of those things where it's you're weighing two things. It's do we make it easier for developers with this step, or do we continue to not make it easier, but then also keep an eye out for gamers here. So that was the thing.
The battle. What are your thoughts, Jared?
Yeah, it was a bit of giving freedom of choice for devs and how to do certain things, and some, as much as we can help devs, and we have in the past, try to create the best free-to-try option for their games, and every game is a bit different. Bomb Squad works very well with an hour-long free demo with the timer built in, and then you get the full game. But other games could be a lot shorter where that approach doesn't work, or it may be a simpler game where if you allow someone to have that much access, then they've played the whole game. So the same solution doesn't really work for every game, and some devs didn't have the resources. They sunk as much money as they could into making the game, and I know some devs were I'm talking even really small devs. They're just kind of scraping by to get a title out there. They may not have literally enough money to pay a programmer X amount more hours just to get a demo added into the game on top of that. I know it may sound like, oh, that's really easy, just put a little paywall in there, but timing it just right, it's not an easy thing for everyone to do. Some people can pull it off very well, but it was really kind of listening to a lot of the developer feedback and people who wanted to be able to bring other things on and just kind of provide that freedom of choice. I think part of the communication, I guess the dust selling piece also was Some people thought that we were making every game pay to play, and really it just was giving developers the option if they wanted to make it pay to play. And for right now, honestly, like still, I would say over 85% of the games now are still free to try, or free to play with microtransactions, or 100% free. I mean, there's a few games that are pay to play, or a few that release pay to play first, but we're going to add demos later because they didn't want to push the release date out any further. So I think it'll be fine. Honestly, in the long run, I think just some people are just kind of getting used to that different approach, but just really didn't want to put some games or devs or anyone really into a spot where they just felt like they couldn't present the entire game properly. I think a good example. I don't think it was requested, but like I think a game like Bad Dragon Cancer is an example. I think where it'd be kind of just a really weird feeling to be playing an experience like that, and then you're playing through that, and all of a sudden something pops up and says, to enjoy the rest of this game, play like I just feel like as a mood piece, or just I don't know, it feels off and weird and wrong from within the experience, without going too deep into that. But I just feel like certain games that would just feel weird, or like probably like, hey, fun the fun. Like it's I don't know. I mean, that's just like one example. But I think it'll be fine. Honestly, I feel like the community's been pretty understanding, and there's a lot of people who have responded. Again, we've got a nice mix of game and dev people, and some of these hybrid supporters of the platform have been kind of doing a good job expressing the ways we've gone about it. And I know Bob wrote a dev newsletter that kind of explained it well. But I think it's just like any kind of change. I think if anything, it shows that we do listen to feedback, and we've been adjusting things over time, just like showing price for games, things like that. I mean, I feel like we've done a lot of things that we've added to the platform that is very player focused, but we're also balancing what devs want and need as well. So it's a balance we've been working on.
Yeah, I definitely see that now. Obviously, being who we are in our website, it's a little bit difficult sometimes because we don't have the funds, of course, to buy every game to review it. And of course, some of the devs are very nice in giving us demos and things like that, and we of course appreciate that very much. But at the end of the day, we're a fan site. I mean, really, that's since day one that Ouya hit the shelves. We went out, we got an Ouya, brought it back, and said, hey, we need to make a website about this thing, and that's pretty much what we did. So now that option came along, it's a little scary for us. But you're right. There's such a great mix of developers out there. J&K, great guy, releases everything for free, and he's got like I think 25 games on the Ouya now. I mean, terrific guy. We're going to try to get him on the podcast as well. But I do understand, like you said, there are games that will come out, Thralled and that Dragon Cancer, and there are games that you just can't stop it in the middle of the game and say, hey, pay us some money. So I completely understand where you're coming from on that.
It's a interesting line to walk. Because we started out at our inception as this community-driven thing, and so I don't know if it would necessarily be easier if it was just more closed and we were just like, this is how it is, But instead we're like, yeah, let's listen to each, what do you think and what do you think? And like sometimes when those voices come from different audiences and those voices are at odds, it does make decisions a little bit. There's a little bit more friction in them, but I think you guys do make a good point that sometimes it would be weird to do a demo for a very experiential game.
Absolutely. Speaking of games, I think Brandon's got a question up here.
Oh man, I already know what the answer is going to be, but
I want to hear the answer. I'm sorry, I'm going to be the jerk that says I want to hear this answer.
So, where are the games like Minecraft and Walking Dead at? They were announced. Some of them, like Walking Dead, was announced, and we haven't seen it and we're hoping that they're still in development, or you guys are doing something in the background that we don't know about.
Yeah, so for both the games, yeah, it is stuff that we're doing in the background that we can't speak to. It's a good thing I have my shades on so you can't read my eyes. I have to do like a poker face. No, I mean it's just stuff that's going on in the background that we can't reveal just yet as far as like any kind of like release timing stuff. So I will say that you guys would be, well, you and press and everything. We'll make it very clear, you know, when those type of titles are releasing for sure. But I mean, as far as like any game stuff or you know timing of things, you know, things get announced and then things get pushed. I know that a lot of people have been asking about that Dragon Cancer as well, and that is definitely still coming, as we mentioned before. There have been things that obviously happened with the family. Sadly, the loss of their child, and you know, different things that delay development outside of those factors. Unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to speak to Walking Dead and Minecraft stuff though at this time, just because there's just, you know, there's always the background mumbo jumbo stuff that keeps you from talking that open. Which of course goes against what we were just talking about being open and telling everyone everything. But at least I'm not pleading the fifth here, saying no. But yeah, we will definitely share info as we have it. It sucks too, because like we're sitting on some news for some other games that will be coming soon that I wish I could like drop the information today, but I can't. But
no spoilers.
But yeah, I can't do any super spoilers today. But I'm held by my own NDAs.
I'm telling you I know exactly what happened, because you guys had to have a meeting with Julie prior to this podcast where she sat you down like children and said, "All right, boys, I swear if you say anything."
You were just busy playing, like, yeah, okay.
Whatever.
What's funny is I bet you my list of games that I'm waiting for is longer than your list, Steve. Because I remember games. I'm still waiting for games from like Create Jam, and I mean, and that just speaks largely to the realistic challenges that a lot of developers and dev studios face. You know. And a lot of these people, like some I've known personally and some you just hear about, they're working on like multiple projects at once, and they're moving things and pushing things, and you know, I understand that, like I'm relatively impatient, so it's like I'm still like I'm excited for, you know, when we can announce these sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean,
it kills me to be on here.
Yeah, I remember people were. I think people forgot about Broken Age coming, and then I think everyone was like, "Oh, it's here on Friday!" Like, where did that come from? And then I was even looking back at some older Twitter stuff from last year, and I think it was like last July or August. Some article was written saying Super Hexagon is coming to Ouya soon, and then I think people forgot about it, and then it's like, oh, and then we announced it again this past week. I don't know if actually it was made 100% clear, but actually Super Hexagon will be live on Ouya next Tuesday, or this upcoming Tuesday.
Awesome.
And then VVV, I believe, is going to release same day on Ouya as the other platform ports that are coming up. So I don't know exactly what that date is. It should be fairly soon. Again, it just depends when Terry Kavanaugh finishes that stuff. But yeah, Super Hexagon is definitely coming out this upcoming Tuesday.
Awesome.
Well, let me ask you guys this, since obviously, you know, the Kickstarter demo for the Ouya did, you know, show that On Live was going to be on the Ouya. I'm assuming, and this is just an assumption, obviously, that you know, that business arrangement just didn't work out, and now PlayStream is basically taking over that role.
Playcast.
Would that be Playcast? Sorry. Would that be a safe assumption?
I don't know if that's a safe assumption. I mean, we're definitely working with Playcast. There's no secret behind that, but I don't know. Actually, I don't know about the live stuff. I joined after the console went live, so maybe Bob can speak to that.
Let's let Bob.
That's the delay catch up.
I think it is.
But he's looking good.
I think.
He about to say something.
Yeah. Unless is Bob frozen now?
Yeah, I think he is.
And if
Man.
Are you there, Bob?
There you go.
can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
now.
Hello? Hello?
We can hear you now.
You can't hear me?
Yeah.
You can't hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been talking. I've been talking for like a minute.
No.
You guys are like, go on, Bob. Now I don't know what I was going to say. I got so flustered. Anyway,
We're talking about
I think
online.
that,
Live and Playcast.
I think, like, when I look at things from an outsider's... Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Oh, sorry. There's this super awkward delay that's happening, I think. When you look at things from, like, which I sometimes fail to do from like a completely outside perspective, things can look sort of like orchestrated, but you know, I think that yes, Playcast is here and it's awesome, and they're sort of like experimenting with the alpha beta channel to test their user experience out and get things all refined. But it's not like we like replace one similar sort of service or application with a different one. You know, we're an open platform. You know, and so that the previous announcement, you know, if you recall, if you look back, like historically, they started having some of their own problems, and that again, that speaks to just the reality of developing these sorts of things. So you know, we're by no means like you know, snubbing one service for another or anything like that. Like in a perfect world, we would have everything, I think, but yeah, I think that's my full comment. Hopefully you could hear it.
That makes total sense, man.
Yeah?
We can hear it. We're waiting for the delay. Here we go.
I think it's just when they're ready. Oh boy, I think things come out when they're ready, but Playcast got ready. I guess you could say sooner or whatever you want to say, and so that's live now, and then you know, if and when an on live thing would happen, we'll let you know. But as far as the Playcast stuff goes, yeah, you'll see more stuff coming soon, alpha, beta, and then moving into some sort of full service for these titles. So you know, right now we got Arkham Asylum, where they're selling 100 copies so they can test all the purchases, make sure that's working right before they start, you know, bringing more things to retail. And so far the results have been looking pretty darn good. We do understand people being upset with you know,
Wi-Fi.
Ethernet versus Wi-Fi scenario, I know things have been looked into on that, but it's worked very well as far as how it's been implemented so far, at least with the Ethernet.
Well,
Right.
Brandon and I have been trying to figure out ways to trick it into thinking that it's connected to Ethernet, but so far nothing.
Oh.
It happens.
Speaking of stuff coming soon, noticed on the Ouya branding guidelines, there's a Ouya Everywhere logo. So, can you speak on that, or is that still in development?
The questions are getting tougher as you go along, guys.
No. You should have opened with the wrestler questions. The Ouya Everywhere, yeah. I mean, it was announced before, so there's
You softened us up with
there. Yeah, exactly.
Here's the 1-2 punch.
There's Bob's last dev newsletter, maybe about you know, we are getting closer to the Mojo integration, and so now for developers they can submit and get it tested across that hardware for the Ouya storefront to eventually launch on the platform. So now you can mark just Ouya or Mojo, however you want to do it, and you test against that to run properly. And there's even, I think, in the ODK a way for you to swap out if it's on the Mojo to show the correct button prompts, to swap that out. Some devs, I think, like Eric Fromling of Bomb Squad, has his own system in place. Maybe even Never Ending Nightmares, they may have done the same thing. Yeah, that's ramping up. And Bob, you have to correct me. I forget this name of the second platform that's for Ouya everywhere. It's not going to be launching the same time as Mojo, but there was another one that we publicly announced.
It was the streaming player.
Yeah, Niantic.
Yeah, Niantic.
Yes. So we're getting closer for that. So yeah, you'll be able to play Ouya games. The Mojo developer can decide whether or not they want their games to appear there or not. And again, you launch the storefront on the Mojo, so it's not going to be like blind. So yeah, you're basically, it's like launching your Ouya on the device. And you'll see the same storefront and everything. And then if the game isn't available Mojo, then the storefront just won't show it.
Well, that's pretty awesome. And I got to tell you, Jared, and especially Bob, I know you've been, with Ouya, you helped, develop the Kickstarter and get this whole thing off the ground. I'm gonna put myself out there and probably not be liked, but the point that I'm about to say is that I love that I get to kind of see people eat a little bit of humble pie, because of course from the get-go people have been so just Ouya, whatever. And I love seeing the differences now, a year later almost, where Ouya was and where they are now. And I love seeing the progression and people starting to, devs starting to pick up, people starting to adapt and say, this is actually, a good system. It has a, fighting chance at making a dent in the market. And, a year ago, people were just laughing and not, caring two bits about it. And it's just good to see that, with the announcement of the Ouya everywhere for the Mojo and for the Niantic, I can't pronounce it. Yeah, Niantic. It's great to see that it's getting out there and it's making its mark, and it's going to continue to make its mark. So I'm pleased. I am very pleased.
Thanks. I mean, we're not out there to I guess to like be like in your face.
You
like,
just made my weekend, Steve.
Yeah. To be like humble pie, but it's good to know where we're at. I think I really enjoyed, Bob. I think you saw the same article that I did, but the one that said like checking out my Ouya a year later, and the guy who was I think started playing that more than his PlayStation. Not to knock PlayStation, the good platform as well. Yeah, it's just great to kind of see that and other people who have been then taking second looks, rebooting them through Ouya now, getting the firmware updates or firmware updated controllers and all that good stuff, and getting it off the ground. I think a lot of people, because of the Kickstarter money and all the noise at the very beginning, assumes that like Ouya is some like big corporation that can move mountains at a whim and like, oh, you should be able to do this and this right away. And it's like we're not a giant company. It was a humbling amount of money at the beginning to receive, and then further investment. But it's still a small, close, tight-knit team working together to kind of build something that's huge, and it's not an easy thing to do. And we've seen other people already try to kind of imitate and do it, and it's not easy. And I feel like we've been learning, listening, and growing along the way. I mean, just even me, who wasn't there at the beginning. If anything, I'd refer to myself as far as like if Ouya's Ghostbusters, I'm like the Winston. I kind of came on board. I kind of came on board when like after Bob and Julie and Kelly and all of them were putting in the hard time getting it off the ground. But yeah, they totally convinced me. Even back in July, like this is where I want to be. And it's just been kind of great to see a lot of this stuff come to fruition.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's why we're wearing our Ouya hater blockers.
Block it all out. Well, I see here that we're getting at about 48 minutes. We always try to keep it under an hour because people start getting tired of us. But the big question, right, the one we're going to ask you, and I'm hoping, I know you're going to deflect, I know you are, but we're going to ask you anyway. When can we expect the Ouya 2? Because we want it. We want to know something about it. Drop us just a nugget, something. Make us happy. I need this, man, please.
I'm trying to think. Bob, do you want to answer? I feel like I've been talking about. I mean, I'm happy to respond. But Bob, if you want to go first, go for it.
Let me answer your question with another question. No, I'm just kidding. What can I say? Probably. How's this? Sooner than you might think. How's that sound?
That's a good one. Well, the reason I asked is because the Ouya actually, when we did when you guys looked at the Kickstarter video, it's like yearly hardware refreshes, and we know it's not easy. I mean, it's easy to say, oh yeah, it's been a year. Let's make with the Ouya too, but obviously we are getting closer to that year launch date for retail, and people are starting to raise eyebrows, kind of like, so are we going to see the Ouya too? And of course, we saw an interview with Julie, who simply said when it's ready. But that doesn't really quench our curiosity. We're just we're curious about what's it going to have. Is it going to have the Tegra 4? Is it going to have that K1 chip? Is it going to be $100? Is it going to be $200? Everybody's curious. So that's really I think I speak for a large portion of the Ouya community when I ask these questions. And like I said, I don't expect you to give me a flat-out date, but we were hoping for a little trickle of info.
Yeah, I think Bob's answer is pretty good. I think it will.
Yeah, we should probably.
Probably, or maybe you're on a delay.
Oh man, this delay is really long.
Yeah, it's because Bob is talking to us from like Bangkok or something. Right, live via satellite.
Nice. Oh, he just got it too.
Yes.
All right, everybody stop. Let's hear him talk.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's backwards.
It was good.
I had to say delay. It said delay, but then you need to reverse it. I'll wait for that. Oh man, what was I even gonna say? I was saying we should add Julie to the call because she's probably the only one that will get to officially say anything. And then once she says something, me and Jared will be like, "Oh my God, we'll come back to you guys." But yeah.
I think Bob's answer is.
We have to wait.
I think Bob's answer is good, but
sooner than you think.
Yeah, and for any clarification, I know some people were confused. The 16 gigabyte version with the improved Wi-Fi and that big control, that is not 2.0. I mean, you can call it a 1.1 or what have you. But yeah, that is not 2.0. For anyone who was thinking that, that is definitely not to be considered 2.0 by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, it's definitely still coming. It's definitely being worked on. And by it's ready when it's ready, it doesn't mean, well, they're a great company. We don't mean it Blizzard style where it's going to come out 3 years from now or anything like that. But it will be sooner than you think, and it will not be E3, but it will be sooner than you think.
Well, let me ask you this then, in closing, because we do have to wrap up.
Okay.
What do you guys think about E3? And this will be my last question, because we know that E3 last year wasn't exactly a flag in the Ouya or a feather in the Ouya cap. All that happened with your guys' booth and everything. But what do you think now that you guys are going to be presenting at E3? How does that to you guys? What's the difference in your minds about last year versus this year?
I mean, I could speak first.
Should I go?
Oh, yeah, you go, since you had enough time to hear it.
Okay, wait 10 seconds and then I'll start. Just kidding. I think it's cool that we're there. We didn't really intend to sort of like be any troublemakers or anything last year. We were just trying to have a good time and be different because we're different. And that was really the entire driving force behind Ouya Park last year was just like, what can we do that's different? And it was very different. And as some people know who follow the saga. So this year, I don't know, Jared, if we've said where we are yet publicly, have we? But we are somewhere.
Yep. You guys are in the south. You guys are in the south booths.
Yeah. So yeah, to jump in there, the press release went out yesterday. It's still trickling around various places over the weekend. So Indiecade announced that we are one of the co-sponsors of their booth on the show floor. Some of the things I'll give you more additional info on. So we will be there. There'll be all indie devs from various platforms. We'll be there with various demo stations. The press release only announced 3 of the games we're showing. We're actually showing more games than that. So, and Bob, please fill in if I forget anything. I mean, there's going to be more that we will provide as far as information goes, but some of the ones I can definitely say right now that will be available to play hands-on at the event will be Thralled, Toto Temple Deluxe, So Many Me, which was announced on Friday, Magnetic by Nature, Neverending Nightmares, Reagan Gorbachev, and others. Read Only Memories will also be there. People want to get their Duck game on, go for it as well. For anyone who's not got a chance to play all that awesome goodness. So yeah, there's definitely more than 3 games being available to play there. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. Hopefully we'll be able to do some Twitch streaming from it again, like we did before. We're also going to be showing. There's a really cool indie. It's also co-sponsored by Indiecade. It's this mix event that's Tuesday night. That's some crazy lounge bar thing where we'll be showing our games also at that event with a lot of different press. And that's also partially sponsored by Indiecade, I believe. So that's going to be Tuesday night during E3, and that's going to be super cool. So I think yeah, last year was different. I wasn't part of Ouya. I really enjoyed the parking lot feel. And Ouya was where in the past when I started going to E3, they used to have like a beer garden there and other games and things to play and check out. And I thought it was just like a nice open. I mean, anyone could go in there. It was free to go into that space to check out games and stuff, and it's free beer. I don't think it was anything intentionally bad towards E3. And this year, what I like is that we're going to be amongst the indies in the hall there, and and helping help Indiecade show off there. We had a great showing at Indiecade last year for anyone who was able to make it. We had lots of fun tournaments, and really kind of just the message of that event while we were there was just to show like how fun it is to play Ouya and show off various games. We had several nominated games last year for Indiecade. They've been a great partner to work with. Poor Bob was going to be there for Indiecade East, but his flight got killed from weather, so he couldn't make it. But yeah, they've been a great team to work with, and I feel like if there was any place we're going to be on the show floor there, that was it just made sense to team up with them.
Awesome. All right, and last words, Bob, go. I'm just messing with him.
Last words for me. Yeah. Like, if you don't have an Ouya yet, I'm not gonna say shame on you because that would be mean, but you should check it out because it's awesome. And so, I mean, there's as Jared said back, like, we had a 1.1 piece of hardware. It's amazing, and the difference. But the challenge of that we sort of face is we're working to make a product for people who know what's good and they know what they like, and sort of we've created Ouya under not a microscope but out in the open, right? And so we have been growing along with everybody else, and a lot of the developers who have published with us early on are growing with us, and with every update we do, we make incredible changes, and we're going to keep doing that because like we're a considerably small team of people doing this crazy thing, and like being on here and talking to you guys is awesome. To talk to people who get what we're doing, to get that this is a wild experiment. So like I really appreciate you guys inviting us on and following the story and even adding to the story. So yeah, that's what I have to say is Ouya on.
All right, we're gonna do it. Here we go. he's gonna break out all the hardware. One up me, man. Thank you.
That's it for this week. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Jared.
Thank you. Love to come back again.
Thanks for joining us.
We're doing shades off. Here we go. I got this. Ooh.
I can't. Minor prescription, so now I can't see.
It's so bright now.
Hey, thank you guys for joining us.
So bright.
Thank you. See you guys soon.
All right.
Thank you.
You guys can catch us next week. We'll try to get another developer on here, and you can reach us on Twitter at OuyaCentralTV and at Ouya Brew. Bob is at BAWB Mills, I believe it is. And then Jared is at. Go ahead, Jared.
It's Jared T. Yeager because somebody stole my Twitter handle.
Okay.
That's rough, man.
I know.
What's his name?
Probably Jared Yeager.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening. You have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
everyone. Have a great weekend.